some driver news. This one was widely talked about and expected for over, 4 months now. That is that 2311 Racing names Riley Herbst as the driver of its new car, a third car in the number 35, which they say the number came from the 3 from the 23 and the 5 from 45, which combined makes 35.
That's it's an awesome number pick. and I
had to do that. I was like, that is a wild explanation as to how you got this number.
Yeah, I mean, they just we're definitely going long on 5 stickers in that shop and just adding a 3. So, obviously shows a little. I think that it, to me, just shows what 2311's been working on, that they have been on a path to racing next year, hell or high water. These deals don't happen overnight, and I love Denny Hamlin, big fan of him. I think it just shows that there's some disingenuous communication from Denny to the public in the last month over his intentions to race next year and all this stuff. Because a week ago he was saying they have no idea if they can have cars ready for Daytona, or they're having cars ready. They have no idea what they're doing, right? Don't know if they're going to race. And then they'd sign Riley Herbst. It's like, okay, that happened overnight. Like, what? I don't know. It just, I think that I think it's interesting.
Do you think he is posturing in some respects?
Yeah, I think most of what he was saying there about not racing next year, not knowing if he was going to race next year, yada, 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 I think that's all posturing. And maybe he had to do it, right? Maybe it's their only chance with this injunction was to prove to the court that they had just irreparable, or what's the word?
Irreparable.
Irreparable damages to the team and organization if there was no charter. So, in his mind, he had to sort of back that up and say, oh my gosh, if we don't get a charter, we may not race, and we don't know, we'll shut down, and our driver could leave, and his, Tyler Reddick is not beholden to us, and da-da-da-da. And I guess you could be right about that, but
yeah.
But, the entire time behind the scenes, they were working on a deal with adding a third car and had a driver probably already signed, if not ready to sign. So
it was also announced that Riley is bringing his crew chief from his Xfinity efforts here this past year, Davin Restivo, with him to 2311 as the crew chief. They did mention they are TBD on their charter status for the third car. It's supposed to be one that is acquired from the Stewart-Haas Racing sell-off. So we'll see. What's been the most interesting
One note on the driver's side.
What's that?
I think Riley's a driver that's come a long ways, and I think he's done a really good job these last 2 years.
Yeah, this year, massive.
I actually watched
respect.
with only because of this announcement. I think my algorithm gave me a clip of his win in Indy, and I watched the last 3 laps of his win in Indy, but he had a rocket ship of a car, but he was racing his teammate for the win, so I'm going to give him some fair game on that, and Eric Almirola. And I could just tell by the way he's driving his car, the way he backed up the minimum speed in his corner to make sure he had a good run off, and he was showing his left front fender, the way he was sort of had this shallow entry and was keeping air on his left front fender. I was like, those are some very good tactical moves. If you go back and watch the Xfinity race from Indy that he won, he was making some very, very good tactical moves that led to his win. I thought so. It was he's come a long ways. He's done a good job. I shouldn't say that. Sounds demeaning, but I think he's done a really good job.
Jeez, the win at Vegas last year dominated.
Ass whooping.
Won by 15 seconds. That's a mile and a half and a really low grip mile and a half that you have to put your left front on the white line and everything, and he did that incredibly well. The Indy win was special for the reasons you mentioned. I just watched it on X the other day as well. And then Phoenix. That's a flat, short track-esque track, and I think one of the toughest tracks, and he won there this year. So to finish out the season. So I think that's a pretty diverse set of tracks to win on, and actually two different packages, because remember we ran that low horsepower package at Indy. So I think that was actually, to your point, it just sort of showed his progression of, it's not just like he won on a super speedway or he won on mile and a halfs only. It's like that is three very distinct different racetracks in different skill sets, and was able to win on all three of them. So that's very impressive.